What's up, folks? This is Andrew with MyWatchAddiction.com. We have another unboxing of a new Kickstarter watch that I've received in. Today we're going to take a look at the Neon Automatic from Hamtun Watches. Now, personally, I have never had anything from Hamtun Watches before, and even more importantly, I have never had anything with the movement that this watch actually uses. It's a new movement that personally I've never seen before, and so it's new to me. I know it's been around a little while, but it's got some pretty good specs in it, and I want to see if it's something that I should be looking for in the future. Anyway, guys, if you haven't seen my videos before, down there in the right-hand corner of the screen is that subscribe button. Do me a favor and smash that guy. Also, if you like the video, smash that like button for me too. But that's not why we're here. Guys, let's tear into this Neon Automatic from Hamtun Watches. So this watch actually, Hamtun Watches, I should say, is actually located over in the UK in Southampton. And this watch is their newest creation, which is called the Neon Automatic. Now, their claim to fame on this one is that it is Swiss powered. So, Swiss powered being utilized as a Swiss movement. There's the box that it comes in. Hamtun Watches. Pretty decent looking box. If we can get it open here as I fight with it. More box. Now, incidentally, this is actually a pretty heavy duty cardboard box with styrofoam, which kind of disappointed in their styling on this box. A lot of watch boxes will have, you know, like preformed styrofoam in them and such, but this is literally just an empty box with a rectangular piece of styrofoam, but hey, it is what it is. So, Hamtun sticker. We have their Instagram hashtag that they want you to use, and then their warranty card, which you can see says 7/9/2018. Their presentation on this watch isn't all that great so far. I'm not digging the first opinion, or first impressions, I should say, on how this box came out. But let's see if I can actually get this guy open. Pretty sharp looking. It's the Hamtun Neon Automatic. Let me get some of this plastic and packaging off of it, and we'll come in with a little bit closer view and talk a little bit about this watch. So as we zoom in and take a closer look at this Neon Automatic from Hamtun Watches, you can see I chose the neon blue model. This model is actually called the Neon Sky because of that blue in those indices and those hands right there. Now, you'll notice that black bezel that's around the outside, that is actually a ceramic bezel. And then we've got our typical diver stylings to this watch. Now, the case thickness on this watch is what originally caught my eye, because I'm starting to become increasingly a fan of thin watches. And this case is actually only 13 millimeters thick. So this is going to be a very nice low profile dive watch, dive styled watch I should say, that I think is going to fit in my collection. Now, the diameter on this guy is actually 42 millimeters, so it's a good size for me, especially with that low profile 13 millimeter case thickness. The bracelet width on this guy is 22 millimeters, so 22 millimeters at the lug. Incidentally, if it matters to you, the lug-to-lug length on this watch is actually 51.5 millimeters. If we look at the bracelet again on this guy, it feels like solid links, very well constructed bracelet from what I'm feeling. And then we go over to this clasp. We have the Hamtun logo on there. One thing I noticed about this clasp that I'm not a huge fan of is it does look like there's some staining in that stainless steel. You can see right there around their applied logo. My guess is it's going to be from the solder or whatever they use to glue, whatever it may be used to affix that logo. But you can see the staining that's on that stainless steel where it kind of dripped down. Now this is a push button locking clasp. And from what I can see, this guy also does have a ratcheting diver's extension in the clasp. Now, there's another watch that I had that had a ratcheting diver's extension too that I thought was really interesting. One thing I will point out is this clasp does seem a little wobbly with that diver's extension. I mean, there's a whole lot of play in that, and it just doesn't feel like it's engineered perfectly. One other thing I will point out about this clasp, sharp looking clasp, but I can tell one thing I'm not going to be a huge fan of on it is if you look at how that clasp lays with that bracelet, it's a very tall clasp. It doesn't taper down at all. So my normal wearing, I'm likely going to catch that on a lot of things, the edge of the desk or whatever it may be. So eventually that might get annoying for me personally from a everyday use standpoint. If we flip this guy over though, this is really what caught my attention with this Neon Automatic, and it's actually the movement. Let's see if I can get a good view of it here for you. The movement that was used in this watch is actually from Swiss Technology products. It's modeled the STP-1-11 model. Now, from what I've read, this model is often compared to the ETA 2824 movement. A lot of similarities. I think the base design of this movement might have even been based off of an ETA type architecture, but from what I've read, this Swiss Technology products STP 1.11, and you can kind of see it there, is almost a I don't want to say upgraded, but they have a little bit different standards than the base model of the ETA 2824. And you can see it's definitely a highly decorated movement with that perlage right there on the case of that movement. The one thing that's a little bit different about that Swiss Technology Projects STP 1-11 is versus the ETA 2824 is this is actually a 26 joule movement, and this has a 44-hour power reserve compared to, I believe it's like 36-hour power reserve on the base ETA 2824. The ETA 2824 does tout a little bit better accuracy. I think it's at like plus or minus 12 seconds a day. This STP 1-11 is touting plus or minus 15 seconds a day. So it'll be interesting to get this guy on an app and see exactly how that does. The other thing that this movement does offer is hand wind, very similar to the ETA 2824, along with hacking ability right there by pulling the crown out to the second position. So if we jump over to their Kickstarter campaign real quick, you can see this was their Kickstarter campaign. I was a backer. That's how I ended up with this watch. Estimated delivery was August 2018, which I want to say was a couple of weeks off considering I just got it. So it was like second week in September that I actually received this watch. So not horribly delayed. Not horribly delayed at all. We just scroll down here real quick. You can see a couple of the different color combinations that this watch did come in. A couple of the organizations that have done reviews on this watch prior to its release. It was all black with that. I was actually thinking this one right here, this color combination, the PVD coating on the case and bracelet, as well as that black on white color combination. I was thinking about going with this one, but I have a lot of black watches right now, and I don't have any blue like the color that I selected, so I did not. But the interesting thing about this watch is that lume on this one is full face lume, so nighttime visibility would be great. You can see here's a little bit telling a little bit about that STP 1-11 movement. Really interested to see how that reacts over time. And then just a little bit more about the Kickstarter campaign. Now, I would say as far as campaigns go, I wouldn't say they were overly communicating, but I think they did communicate enough to maintain people's comfort levels. I didn't have any concerns about this campaign for whatever reason. I don't know if it was just a gut instinct or what it was, but I didn't have any concerns with it. And again, you can see my pledge. I paid about $350 in US for this Neon Automatic, and that was through the super early bird. So that was the Neon Automatic from Hamtun Watches that I just received in from their successful Kickstarter campaign. Overall, I would probably rate this campaign on my scale, probably a 7, 7.5, something like that. I am really digging this watch. The watch itself, I really like. I'm intrigued and really think that's a cool movement, that STP-1-11 that is in it. So it'll be interesting to see how that lasts over time. Overall, I like the watch. The campaign, didn't have any concerns with how the campaign was run, so I was happy with that. Just the couple of things that I dislike about it. I wasn't a fan of the presentation and how the watch was presented, just from that box construction and just the fact that the watch was just thrown in the box. I didn't think that was a good representation of what this watch could be. The other thing I'm not a huge fan of is that clasp that's on it. I think I'm going to have a little issues with that clasp, just catching on things. Also, again, not a huge fan of that staining on the stainless steel in that clasp itself. And then lastly, that ratcheting diver's extension, there's just a little bit too much play in it. So overall, clasp, just not a huge fan of that clasp. But the watch in general, really digging this watch. I like the design, I like the construction. The fit and finish on this watch, just overall, I think is pretty good. I don't have any concerns, and overall, I'm happy with it, and I'm glad it's a watch that I have in my collection. Anyway, guys, I'm going to get out of here. If you want to see this watch on my wrist, don't forget, you can follow us on Instagram /watchaddiction.us. Thank you, guys, and have a great week.